But yeah, here we go into the 20 through 30. We'll start with number 20. We already alluded to him. The Los Angeles Lakers, Austin Reeves. Number 19 from the Pacers, Andrew Nemhard. Number 18 from the Orlando Magic now, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP. Number 17 from the Philadelphia 76ers, Kelly Oubre. Number 16 from the San Antonio Spurs, Devin Vassell. Number 15, I almost blanked for a minute, from the Brooklyn Nets, Cam Thomas.
Nice.
Number 14 from the Houston Rockets, Jalen Green. Number 13 from the Miami Heat, Tyler Hero. Number 12 from the Charlotte Hornets, Brandon Miller. And at number 11 from the Chicago Bulls, Kobe White. Kobe White. Dave, we'll kind of resume our conversation that we were having about Austin Reeves earlier. If you want to continue with your point, if you think, I guess I will ask you this question though. Do you think that Austin Reeves, if he was moved to the bench, would be one of the highest end bench players in the league?
I think he's just worse Bogdanovich.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And that's I literally have a jump of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots because of that. Like I have Bogey that much higher than him. Because I think that's sort of this thing. But also, like, Austin Reeves on a bad team probably could put up, hilarious numbers if they give him the opportunity to. But, like, he's just a solid shooting guard. I don't think that he defends well enough to earn any sort of reputation on that side of the ball. I think offensively, he plays well off LeBron, which is why he's the guy. If anything, it's, they're going to move off D'Lo and find a better, like, 3-and-D option, even if he doesn't have ball handling skills, because he doesn't need it, because Austin Reeves showed, hey, I can facilitate a little bit enough where if LeBron is, either on the bench or being double teamed all game, like, we can run a bit of offense through me and it's not going to be a disaster. He's competent. I don't have anything like hatred against him. It's just, I think there are other guys who are doing what he's doing, but better.
You think he's worth Reed Shepherd?
I think Reed Shepherd's way better than him.
That's what I mean. But
I don't think they do the same thing. No,
body type. I was saying people already throwing the comparison together.
No, Ricky, if anything, he better watch out for Dalton Connect come for his job.
Yeah, I can see that too. Honestly, not gonna lie to you, Ricky. Your thought? You had Austin Reeves obviously the highest out of all of us.
I just think he's a dog. Like, that's yet again a lot of things, vibes, and who I would have on my team, who would I want. And he's a guy that I do like Dalton Connect too. If he was in the rankings, I don't know. Like, here's the thing. So far, I've only done to this point the two that we're going to do to record. I've not done any of the forwards or the centers yet. Mm-hmm. And so far through things, we haven't had a situation, unless I'm overlapping it or forgetting about it, of like, oh, this is a guy who hasn't played any NBA games yet.
Nope.
Which I think would be a kind of difficult thing to say, hey, where do I place you when I don't know what you're going to do? But like Austin Reeves, Hillbilly Kobe, he's one of the, like, with the shooting guards, except for like the top, it's like the top 10 are like, hey, these are like the guys of their team. And then the rest of them are just like, you fill a role. You're not complete. Like, you play defense. You shoot. You are a spark plug of offense. And if we need it, we can go to you. Like, it was kind of, I'll say, hard to rank, like, what do I base more on? And I don't know about you guys, but like a guy who is gifted shooting versus a guy who's a lockdown defender, but is a wet paper bag on offense. Like,
that would be Keon Ellis.
Like,
you ranked him like 29 or 30.
Like that's the thing where it's like,
we value offense clearly up until a point. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing. Like, I think the offense is important up to a point, and then you would rather have defense.
Mm-hmm.
There's two guys that I really want to talk about in this section, and I'll reverse it back to you, Ricky. Two guys that you had on the opposite end of the spectrum, which I find interesting.
Okay.
You had KCP at 26, and then you had Kelly Oubre at 8. So I find, because
what is wrong with you?
No, relax. I was trying to figure out, because listen, Oubre, one of my dudes, absolute dog. But I was
Discord picture. I love the man, but
I was looking at our rankings and I was trying to figure out why Oubre was higher than KCP.
Better situation. I mean, this one too, I would rather have Kelly Oubre than KCP. Yeah. But also, let's be honest, you mentioned it in the podcast we had on Tuesday, where it was basically KCP, new role. he ain't gonna be doing the same things he was doing in Denver, where Kelly Oubre, he's sitting there, he's like, I'm fine, brother. I'm fine. Let's just hope I don't get hit by a car this time. Let's hope he has a little bit better luck in life, rather than air quote, allegedly. But like, I just like Oubre more, and he's in the same situation. KCP to me is like, KCP is a dude that's like, he's just not as consistent in my mind as Oubre. I don't think he's gonna have as great of a year with Orlando that he did with Denver.
I would have to flip that. I think that Oubre is super inconsistent, which is not too much to a fault, but his shooting is very inconsistent. And I don't want to. I think Oubre is a good player, but he is one of the worst finishers at the rim that I've ever watched. He cannot make layups. He is like, him and Andre Drummond on the court together is going to be hilarious. But KCP is a better shooter too. That's what I'm saying. KCP is a better shooter and a better defender than Oubre. So my point of view is, I think I had KCP at 15. I'll double check here real quick. I had KCP at 15. Yes, I think KCP is like, and you were right about the thing that I said before, and his role is going to change a little bit. But it's not that, I shouldn't say his role isn't going to change. The looks that he's going to get is going to change, because the Magic are going to rely so heavily again on Paolo and Franz to create. But KCP is still that guy defensively. We saw it last year, right? Until the Nuggets got tired, he was still that guy defensively, right? I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to get your thoughts.
Paolo is not a guy, and this is what you get. Like, you should know this because you have a center like this or a guy down low like this. When you have a guy down low like Jokic and Embiid, black hole, they just suck the defense in. That gives the wide open. They're eating ass in the paint, basically. To quote a old MVP, old fast breakism. But like, Paolo's not going to have that. Paolo's not going to suck anybody in to where KCP's going to have a lot more hands in his face. And if he can hit them, cool, he'll move up the rankings. But I just don't think he'll have the same looks. He's going to have more hands, more contested shots.
I don't think Dave can control himself right now. So I'll move on to the next players. I actually wanted to get into before Dave. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
You good?
I'm so good. I just, talking about who Paolo can't suck, or, it just
suck people in.
Yep. Paolo's inability to suck is
No, I didn't stop there. I said suck the defense.
No. I get it.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Dave. Joel. Get your mind out of the gutter.
It's a reminder that Dave's in his, he's a boomer. So,
so I think the interesting thing, you're both right. You're both right on KCP. The looks he's going to get, I expect his percentages to drop a smidge, but that does not change the pedigree of player he is, in my opinion. Championship player, multiple teams, multiple systems. He will adapt. He will continue to be awesome. Kelly Oubre might have one of the worst ego problems that you ever can see from a shooter. Like, he thinks he will hit every shot. And at times that is great. And at other times I'm screaming at him to not take shots. And then sometimes they still go in anyway. And it's like, that shouldn't exist.
No one ever had a problem with Kobe shooting when he was having an off night.
Do not.
Shooter's gonna shoot, man. Shooter's gonna shoot.
It's been great. It's been great being on the show with you guys again. I'm sad that it ended after like 3 episodes.
Shooter's gonna shoot, man.
I can't.
I guess Ricky, you'll enjoy this because nobody's going to be going after you, but I think we're going to go on the player that I think out of all these lists we're most split on. All right, so I'll just go through the list real quick. Ricky, you had this guy at 15. I had this guy at 9. Dave had this guy at 21. So we are as far separated as.
At first, I thought it was Kobe White, but I know it's not.
No. This player is Houston Rockets shooting guard Jalen Green.
Oh, Dave just hates Jalen Green. We all know that.
Oh, no. I just want to ask Dave. So going into this year, because we called back back to 2021.
Yeah.
Dave and I were the JG4 guys, right?
Yeah.
We were the big JG4 guys. Now I want to ask you, do you think a lot of Jalen Green succeeding and not succeeding on this roster this year is kind of based on them going a different direction in terms of team building, right? Because Şengün obviously growing out his game, and we've talked about how the best way to get out of Şengün is to build the system around him. Is that not a system that Jalen Green can thrive in, or is it something else?
We have not seen Jalen Green thrive next to Şengün as much as people want it to happen, and people are incredibly, I would say delusional at their pairing of Amen Thompson and Jalen Green. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're seeing off some trash games against competition that didn't care, and then watching that slam immediately back down to reality when they played against playoff teams and got their asses kicked game after game after game, and his shooting percentages went so far down. Like I swear he shot like 20% from three for the last like 15 games. It was awful. It was watching this man brick up for. But yeah,
Why are you looking at me like that? He can't look me in the face when he's making an argument against me, Ricky. I don't think it's gonna be a long year for him.
No, it will not.
I think that his production on that team is a problem when it comes to evaluating like, do these points mean anything? Because I think that from a system standpoint, if you took him out and put in Cam Whitmore, are they a better team with that starting lineup? I think so. I think if you take him out and you slide everybody up one, and you added in like Tari Eason or another one, it's just I feel like his addition is not great. Maybe that's because I see a lot of similar things out of like a young Zach LaVine, out of guys who are these uber athletic shooting guards who have so much talent, but don't actually help you win games. Like he's improved. I still the guy who loved JG4 coming into the draft. I still think that he's a good player. I still think he's gotten better, but I don't know that I'm going to give him a max contract. I think that would be like, even though in the league is basically forcing you to at this point, I don't think that's the right move for them. And I think that if you took JG4 off this team and put him on let's say like Tyler Hero, like if you swap them, do you think that he would get away with half the crap that he pulls? No.
Okay. So, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No, sorry. I was just a dramatic pause, but no, there's no chance. And I think that if you had Tyler Hero on the Rockets, they're right in about the same spot. I don't think there's a huge drop off in anything there. If anything, I think like Tyler Hero is a better facilitator than Jalen Green is. But
yeah, I think there's a lot of points to dissect there. First off, I think that your point of him moving to the Heat would actually tremendously help him, because I think one of the big problems that I've had with a lot of the Rockets young players is that they spent their first couple years under Steven Silas, and they were playing reckless basketball, and I think that built tendencies, especially in Jalen Green, because he is that kind of guy who has, I won't say ego, I'll say confidence. It's the same thing with Oubre. I'll say confidence to build bad habits, and I think that takes time to get rid of. If I'm honest with you, I don't want to pull this card too much, but I've coached and I've seen players who you literally have to beat out bad tendencies from because they're so used to coaches letting them do it. Right?
He got benched.
You're beating players.
Yeah.
No, see, that's what I knew you were gonna turn that into.
It's a joke.
Yeah, I know. I think,
but do they?
And I don't massively disagree with you on the point of I don't know. I think my main thing I was going to say here is I don't think that he's on the Rockets at the end of this season, if that makes sense. Or by the time we're talking here in a year, I don't think he's on the Rockets. And I think that's beneficiary for both. Right? The way I looked at these rankings is I'm going to rank them as players, right? I'm going to rank not by who I'd want, but who I think are the most talented and the best players, right? That's why I had Drew Holiday even over Trae Young, because how talented he is defensively, right? Because if I was thinking like pure, like even I would say with like I'm trying to pick out one of our point guards, but whatever it is, I just think that him solely as a player, I can still see the talent there. Are there bad tendencies? Absolutely. But also, I thought it was funny that you pointed to Zach LaVine, and he doesn't help you win games. But I'll be interested to see where you have less Zach LaVine in your small forward rankings.
Yep.
Because if you're making the same points about Zach LaVine, then Zach LaVine can't be higher in your rankings.
The difference is Zach LaVine was one of the most efficient scorers, and Jalen Green is not.
No, is the answer there.
Zach LaVine
has
share the athleticism at the shooting guard position. They both
Correct.
are incredible athletes. The difference is what Zach does with his athleticism, even post 3 surgeries.
Now 3 then.
Yeah. And Jalen Green, whose 3-point shot has been stagnant his entire career. Like from a true shooting standpoint, they're not even close. From a scoring at 3 levels, they're not even close.
I don't want to turn this into Jalen Green versus Zach LaVine.
I know, I'm just saying like that was the comp I would like that makes the more scope sense. Of what I was trying to pick.
Yeah, the context makes more sense. But what I'm saying is I don't even think they're really similar. Like besides the athleticism, I don't think they do a lot of the same things, right? Because I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I watched the Houston Rockets last year, and I saw Jalen Green try. Right, he actually tried. That was my. I don't want to tailor too much towards that, but a lot of his.
You watch?
I
No
watch, bro.
one's gonna hit you with the "Do you even watch, bro"?
Oh, I'm sure they will. I mean, people find that regardless of whatever I say. Like, I listen. Is Jalen Green at 9 probably a little bit too high? Probably.
Insanely.
I don't think insanely, but probably. But he is still one of my favorite players to watch in the NBA, and I still think there is a player in there. I just think, and again, we see this a lot, aka Lowry Markkinen, changes of scenery can help players tremendously. So I think that's what's next for Jalen Green and the Rockets. I think once we start talking about team stuff and our predictions, we'll get more into that kind of stuff. But I think Jalen Green and the Rockets probably is near their expiration date. What's up?
Can I ask you, did you have Cam Thomas above or below?
Let me double check here real quick. Cam Thomas. You talking about Cam Thomas below Jalen Green?
Yeah. Where in relation to Jalen
I
Green?
had Cam Thomas at 16, and I had Jalen Green at 9.
So why is the Hooper's Hooper so low and Jalen Green so high?
I think that Jalen Green has much more defensive upside than Cam Thomas.
Would you say that Jalen Green is more consistent than Cam Thomas?
No, I'd never use the word consistent of Jalen Green if I'm being honest with you.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Because I also had Cam Thomas 4 spot. I had 2 players in between Green and Thomas.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of the players that are in between both of them. I mean, we'll get into some of them in the top 10, and some of them are in this list we can talk about. But
Kobe and Gary Trent for me are right in between them.
Yeah, I was much lower on Gary Trent, so he's not even touching that part of my ranking. But yeah, I think Jalen Green is so interesting because and I have a tendency. I am very open about it. I will not quit on some players. All right, I think Jalen Green can still be a tremendous.
It's your coach mentality.
Listen,
the problem is he's never gotten hurt. That's why I don't still love him as much. If he got hurt and was trying to come back, I would be all in.
Yeah, I get it. I'm still maybe in a year from now. Or no, it still won't be a year from now.
Because what's your love for Ja gonna be like this year?
If he gets, dude, it's big. if Jalen Green's on a new team a year from now, I'm gonna have even more optimism. That's just how it's gonna go. So I guess we'll see. Somebody else I wanted to touch on in this section was Devin Vassell, because I believe Dave, you were lower on Devin Vassell than both of us. I can double check the rankings.
I had him at 23.
No, it was Ricky that was lower than both of them. I was pretty high on Devin Vassell. Because I had Devin Vassell at 11. Dave, you had him at 17, and Ricky, you already said. So I guess I'll bump to Ricky. Ricky, your thoughts on Devin Vassell?
Yeah, it's just with me with the rankings. Like, I just there are some guys looking back that I was like, ooh, I could have them a lot higher. Devin Vassell's not that guy. To me, it's just he's not good. He's not bad. It's kind of like, or he's not great. He's not bad, I should say. Like, he's not top 10, but he's not Jordan Poole, the floor, or below the floor. I just like it. It was basically where I was mapping it out, and I'm like, I gotta have this guy here, and then by the way, it's just like, oh shoot, what about Devin Vassell? And it's just like you go to say, oh, is he above this guy? This guy's just where he fell. Like, that's a weird thing about these shooting guard rankings is it's like, wow, someone really loves this guy. Yeah, but I value this guy more. And it's like, why? They do 2 different things sometimes to where it's like, I couldn't disrespect Kobe. I have Kobe White low, but I couldn't put him outside the 20s low. Cam Thomas is inconsistent in my mind unless he's playing the Bulls. But he did pop off for an insane streak last year to where I had to respect him. Gary Trent I really like. Derek White, any of the guys I have above Devin Vassell, I'm I can't have them below him. Maybe Colin Sexton. Boom, I move him up 1 maybe if I redo it.
I respect that. I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
2 players I left want to touch on in this section. First, because I know the next one will probably go the longest.
I like how every new player he says, he goes, 2 more players.
Yeah, sorry, that's my case.
Real quick, can I just say Devin Vassell, if
my bad.
He took advantage of the opportunity in San Antonio. That was a team that you had Wemby and you had nothing. No offense to the guys on that roster, but from an offensive standpoint, they were in dire need.
Now they have Chris Paul.
Now they have Chris Paul to run an actual offense as opposed to Point Sohan, which
Mhm.
was an experience for a couple of months, and then they switched over to Jones, which he's a great backup point guard. But I just think that Devin Vassell was a great shooter, really good all-around player.
Mhm.
Look for him to take a step forward, but like even he, I feel like just kind of got a huge benefit from the system and the opportunity, and nothing wrong with that. But I'm curious to see what happens when they translate to like winning basketball games. Now that they're adding Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes around him as like
Yeah.
legit vets, and they try to win games this year. I'm curious what his role is going to look like and shake out as, because I really loved him going into his draft class. Even I had him higher than Patrick Williams. I thought he was the best wing on the board at 4. So I'm very happy to see him doing well, but I want to see him play like games that matter and see what that looks like.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because we kind of looked at it and it was Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson and which one would take advantage. And it was definitely Devin Vassell. He was the one who excelled next to Wemby in that team. I want to talk about who probably will be, bold take here, one of, if not the highest risers out of this entire list. I think Brandon Miller right now is at 12, right? We saw kind of flashes last year. I'll go back to you, Dave. How high of a ceiling do you think Brandon Miller has coming into this year?
In 1 year, how much can he jump?
Yeah, in general, his game or exactly in the list, how high can he jump?
I mean, who probably the problem is like the top 6 is legit crazy good. And then
Yeah.
after that, it can be like specialized. So he could get all the way up to like 8 probably. I think he'd jump up to 8 in a year. He's better than I think anybody outside of Charlotte expected.
Hmm.
He is such a good shooter, and he's good at using his length to get to his spots and like take shots that can't be contested as easily. I know he models himself after Paul George. He talks about like how A, he thinks he's the best player in the NBA, and then B, how like basically he's trained after him. So it's very close connection there. And again, they're built similarly. Paul George, obviously much older, has way more muscle on his body. So we'll see Brandon as he tries to add that muscle. Like, how's that going to look like? Where's his game going to evolve next? But right now, he's got a great touch, absolutely great touch. And I'm curious to see what he'll look like with an actual point guard for more than 30 games because LaMelo will be healthy.
And an actual coach. Ricky, any thoughts on Brandon Miller?
I think that the answer to your question, or how far it could rise, is exactly where you guys have him right now.
Interesting. Because
You
just for
guys, you
reference,
guys both have him at 12. I've got him at what, 20, and the reason being is he was good, but yet again, it's like it's one of those things where it's like I don't want to do the Dennis Green to quote Dennis Green. I don't want to crown his ass. I want at least one more year before it's like, okay, because rookies come in, they have a great rookie year. It's like, oh, let's crown them. I want to see a little bit and then move up. I'm like, I'm conservative right now. I'm Brandon. He's good.
Remember the Kyle Kuzma,
Another good year, he'll
Jason
move
Tatum?
up. Mm-hmm.
What do you say?
I mean, remember the Jason
Kuzma,
Kyle Kuzma rookie year
Mhm.
Yeah,
controversies about
Yeah.
who's better?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
That's
not
what
saying
happened.
it's going to look like that, but
it might.
that to Ricky's point, like
Who are you? Who's
you
the
don't know until you know.
Who's the Kyle Kuzma in this situation? Are you saying that he could be either Tatum or Kuzma?
I'm saying that like trying to grade a guy after 1 year
Yeah.
when they had an incredibly productive first
Mhm.
year, it can be hard because like Kyle Kuzma was seen as an equal to Jason Tatum as rookies,
Mm-hmm.
and clearly they are not close to equals.
Well, closer than some might think.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. I'm
Okay.
kidding. Let me just. I'm kidding.
Spicy. Boston's gonna love that.
I'm Boston. Boston will love that. They'll love it coming from a person in a Sixers jersey, even better.
There you go.
I'm sure somebody's already typing out "lol" second round exit "lol" in the comment section. And the last guy I wanted to touch on in this section was at 11 we had Kobe White. So Ricky, I will throw it to you as obviously you had Kobe White the lowest.
No, I didn't. Did I?
Oh, you didn't?
How high did you have him, Jake?
You had him at 17. I had him at 14.
Okay,
Dave
I
had him at
barely
11.
had him the lowest.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you had him the lowest of all of us.
And the way you phrased it, I was like,
How are you not gonna
no.
believe in Kobe like that though? Like I got him at 11.
Here we
yeah.
go.
The last year's a flash in the pan. I
We're
don't
talking the
think
number
he's
2 most improved player. Number 2.
I don't think like guys can have great pop off years and then fall back down. Like it's happened before, and I think it's gonna happen. I just like
What
I
about his game
gave
makes you
him.
think he's going to not be able to duplicate that? Because I feel like his big change last year was the effort on defense
Mhm.
and the trust in ball handling that they gave him. And our coach is still our coach. Billy Donovan's still going to run 4-guard lineups because he's
Yeah.
whoever he is. And his defense was effort, effort, effort. And that's what dug him out of that hole that he had the year before when he was really struggling. Like he found out what it took to be a pro and what he needed to add to his game. So do you think is it the concern about like Zach LaVine's going to be back
concern about
playing
the
again
whole
in Stoke
team.
time?
It's the whole team. Levine's not going to, although I would love for it to happen, Levine's not going to get traded. We got to fit Giddey into the system. It's going to take the ball out of Kobe White's hands. I just don't think Kobe White's going to be what he was last year. To me, believe it or not, 17 is me being generous. It's me saying, hey, I respect last year. That is what 17 is. Because I could have put, I'll be honest, I could have put Cam Thomas ahead of him. I could have put Brandon Miller ahead of him. A guy I have way too low, but it is what it is. I should have definitely put probably Jalen Williams ahead of him. Like it's one of those things where I could have put Devin Vassell ahead of him. There are guys I could have put ahead of Kobe, but I'm like, you know what? I want to put him there. The Jalen Williams one he's good. No, I'm not. But I just would rather have other shooting guards on my team. That's what it is.
Seen Dave
no, I know.
It
is what it is. But he's not a top 10 shooting guard.
But you guys, here we go. I don't want to open up the can of worms too much, but I'm gonna crack it open just a little bit. Dave, if you're a Nostradamus here, you got this. If you're a Nostradamus here, do you think that Kobe White is like, could he take an additional jump in this rankings? Do you think he's a guard of a future for the Bulls? Or do you think like, and it's not like a hindrance to say, do you think what you saw last year is what his peak is?
I think he can get a little bit better. I don't know, to Ricky's credit, I don't know his role on the Bulls getting larger this year. So we might just see him kind of do the same thing, and we might see it like look similar, but maybe he cleans up a couple of rough edges. He had some ugly turnovers towards the end of the year. I don't know that the volume will be there to say, hey, this guy should be a top 10, and I don't know that his defense will be as crazy good as like Derek White's. That would make up for it. So like it's going to be a bit of a balancing act this next year, but I think as the Bulls' future clears up, hopefully as we find a new home for Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, and we filter out our roster to be more based around, the 5-6 guys under the age of like 26, he would be that guy to be the anchor on the team. So I think that like in the future, yes, I do think he can crack the top 10. I don't think it'll happen next year.
Yeah, Ricky, I assume you're against that. You think that?
No, it's his peak.
Let me ask you.
He found the roof, and it's the ceiling.
It's the ceiling. Let me ask you this. Now, do you think he'll stay consistent with the production he had last year, or do you think there will be a noticeable drop off?
If I had to put my money on it, I would say more of the same. But if you do the exact same, it looks worse. Perspective.
Yeah, I guess that starts the debate of like, stats don't say everything, right? Because if he plays a cleaner game, if he improves on defense, cuts out the turnovers, but puts up the same or say a point or two less per game, but the percentages increase, then some would say that's an increase, like an increase to his overall play, right? But statistical standpoint, you wouldn't notice it too much. I guess that's like the best case scenario.
It's not gonna be like, oh, dude, he's one. It's like he's not gonna be Kyrie Irving or Donovan Mitchell all of a sudden. He's not even gonna be, I don't know, CJ McCollum. Like it's just like he's gonna, if he's best season, it's very similar, looks very similar to last year, and usually when you do the same thing twice in a row, it doesn't look better, and people go, oh, okay, so this is Kobe White.
Yeah, no,
because he's not a player that's he's not the player that's like a big three of a team to win a championship. So it's like if you're not improving into that, you kind of look stagnant, and that's what I think Kobe's going to look like.
Yeah, I get that. I'm going to say neutral on Kobe White all year, just so I can see the two go back.
Eventually, you're going to have to give an opinion about him. Not that you're picking a side.
Shots are gone. Where are they going? Because Josh Giddey's not taking 18
Zach
shots.
LaVine's
the mentor is also gone. We'll see how that affects Kobe too.
Zach
He's
Levine's
now
back,
lost
though.
2 mentors in Thaddeus White and DeMar DeRozan.
Thaddeus
And
done.
Levine's not going to be no
Thaddeus.
mentor.
Thaddeus White.
Thaddeus was his mentor. They worked out like he mentioned him in almost every interview.
No, you
Don't
said
blame
Thaddeus.
me.
No, you said Thaddeus White. Like
Oh,
he took
It's like,
they were
it's like
together.
Thaddeus took his last
No, I
name.
know.
Like,
They were
Thaddeus
together,
is
they were together
Thaddeus.
so much. You know what I mean?
Don't do that. No, don't do that. All right, so that'll about do it for 11 through 20. I'll throw it to Dave first. Dave,
I've
any
done
final
that on
thoughts?
Heel
Anybody
Talk
that we
before.
didn't go in depth on that you'd like to talk about?
God. 11 through 20. Andrew Nemhard, just for the shout out. I think we put him in here. There's the arguable case that Ben Mathurin could be here as well.
Yes.
Some people are of the belief that like, hey, you don't lose your job by getting hurt. And I think in this case, I might disagree because I think that Andrew Nemhard with that playoff run really could not miss. And again, small sample size, but the most critical sample size you could ever have. The most high pressure situations when Halliburton goes out hurt, when he's missing opportunities in games basically because he's playing hurt, you needed Nemhard to step up, and he was one of those guys who did. That's why I have him in here a little bit higher, but I think that he's the guy who's going to hold down that spot. Like they like their like 2 guard lineups with him as a secondary creator for them. Like the more creation in the Pacers offense, the better. I think that jived really well with like getting Pascal better looks too. So shout out to Nemhard. I don't expect him to shoot 56% for a whole season and or anything crazy like that, but I expect an incredibly efficient season and him to continue thriving.
Agreed. Ricky, any final thoughts?
No, I can't wait to get into the top 10. As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.